Have you ever noticed that when you're in an argument with someone, the moment they say something that actually makes a good point, you don't really hear it? It's like your brain just skips over it. But if they say something weak, something you can easily push back on, oh, you catch that immediately, you latch onto it. You feel almost relieved.
Okay, I feel personally called out right now. That is uncomfortably accurate.
Welcome to Mind Decoded. I'm Dr. Ann.
And I'm Zach. Dr. Ann, what are we unpacking today?
Today, we are diving into one of the most powerful and invisible forces shaping how you see almost everything in your life. It's called confirmation bias.
Confirmation bias. I've heard this term thrown around a lot, but I have to be honest, I don't think I really know what it actually means beyond people see what they want to see.
That's exactly the popular understanding. And it's not wrong, but it is the surface level. The reality is much more fascinating and much more automatic than that. Confirmation bias is not something you choose to do. It is not a personality flaw. It is a deeply embedded feature of how your brain processes information. Your brain actively favors information that confirms what you already believe. And it does this before you even become consciously aware of the information.
Before I'm even aware of it, so my brain has already decided whether to let something in or block it out before I've even had a chance to consider it.
Exactly. Think of it like this. Imagine your brain has a security guard standing at the door. That guard has been given a very specific instruction. Let in anyone who agrees with you. They get a warm welcome, a comfortable chair, all the time they want. Anyone who disagrees with you, they have to wait outside. They might get a quick glance through the window, but they're not coming in.
And I don't even know the guard is there.
You don't even know the guard exists. And this happens thousands of times a day with every piece of information you encounter.
So let me see if I've been doing this. I'm scrolling through social media this morning. I see a post from someone I generally agree with. Do I read it carefully? Do I question it? Probably not. I just absorb it. But if I see something from someone whose opinions I generally disagree with, I might skim it, but I'm looking for the part I can argue with.
You have just perfectly described the mechanism, and here's what makes it so elegant from your brain's perspective. You feel like you're being thoughtful. You feel like you're evaluating, but you're not weighing evidence equally. You're looking for confirmation and finding it, and then you feel more certain than before.
So I'm not actually thinking. I'm just collecting proof that I'm already right.
That is one of the best descriptions I've heard. You are collecting proof.
Huh. That landed.
And this is not a small effect. The research on this is extensive and goes back decades. One of the earliest and most famous demonstrations of confirmation bias came from a psychologist named Peter Wasson in the 1960s. He designed a simple task. He gave participants a set of 4 cards. Each card had a number on one side and a letter on the other. He said, "Your job is to test this rule. The rule is, if a card has a vowel on one side, it has an even number on the other side. Which cards do you need to turn over to test this rule?"
Okay, so I need to turn over the cards that could prove the rule wrong.
That is the correct logical approach. But that is not what most people did. Most people turned over cards that could confirm the rule, not cards that could disprove it. They looked for evidence that supported the rule, and they ignored the possibility of evidence that would break it.
So even when people were explicitly told to test a rule, they still just looked for proof that it was right.
Exactly. And this was not a group of people who were trying to be stubborn or close-minded. These were regular people doing what their brains naturally do. The drive to confirm is stronger than the drive to disprove. Your brain treats disconfirming information as a threat. It's cognitively costly. It takes more energy to process something that challenges your existing mental framework. So your brain takes the efficient path. Confirm, agree, move on.
So my brain is basically lazy, and I'm supposed to feel good about this?
Not lazy, efficient. Your brain is managing an enormous amount of information. Think about it. Every single second, your senses are taking in roughly 11 million bits of information. Your conscious mind can process about 50 bits per second. So your brain has to filter, it has to prioritize. And one of the ways it prioritizes is by favoring information that fits your existing mental models.
Okay, that changes things. It's not that I'm being difficult, it's that my brain is trying to keep up with 11 million bits of information.
And here's where it gets even more interesting. Confirmation bias operates across multiple levels. There's selective exposure, you seek out information sources that already agree with you. There's selective attention, you notice information that confirms your beliefs and overlook information that doesn't. There's selective interpretation. Even when you encounter information that contradicts your beliefs, you find a way to interpret it in a way that still supports your view.
Wait, that last one. I'm guilty of that. I've done that so many times. Someone shows me evidence that I'm wrong, and I immediately start thinking, well, that study was funded by someone with an agenda, or that's just one study, or that person doesn't understand the full picture.
That is selective interpretation in action. And it feels reasonable in the moment. It feels like critical thinking. But what it actually is motivated reasoning. You are not being objective. You are being a lawyer for your existing position.
I don't like being called a lawyer for my own opinions.
It's a powerful framing, though, isn't it? You've already decided your position. Now you're building the case for it. You're gathering evidence, dismissing counterarguments, and you probably even feel a little bit of pride in how well you've defended your view.
Yeah, I feel proud. I feel like I've won the argument, but I've only been arguing with myself.
And that is the trap. You are arguing with yourself, and you are declaring yourself the winner.
This is getting very personal now.
But here's the really liberating part. Once you know this is happening, you can start to catch yourself. And when you catch yourself, something shifts. You stop feeling like you have to defend your position. You start feeling curious about what you might be missing.
So how do I actually catch myself? What does that look like in real life?
One of the most practical techniques comes from something called the consider the opposite strategy. It's simple. When you find yourself feeling very certain about something, especially something where you have strong emotions attached, stop and ask yourself one question. What would I believe if I were wrong?
That's uncomfortable.
It is deeply uncomfortable, and that discomfort is the signal that you are doing it right. Your brain will resist. Your brain will want to immediately provide reasons why you are not wrong. That resistance is confirmation bias, trying to protect itself.
So the resistance is the evidence that I need to actually do it.
Yes, and here's another one. Whenever you read an article or watch a video that confirms something you already believe, make it a habit to also seek out one source that challenges that view. Not a source from someone you consider unreasonable or extreme. Find a thoughtful person who disagrees with you and genuinely try to understand their perspective.
But that feels like I'm betraying my own side. That feels disloyal.
And that feeling of disloyalty, that is confirmation bias doing its work. It is telling you that exploring the other side is a threat to your identity. Because for many of us, our beliefs are tied to who we are. If I change my mind about this, what does that say about me?
That's the deeper question, isn't it? It's not about the facts, it's about identity.
That is exactly right. And this is where some of the most fascinating research on confirmation bias comes in. There's a concept called identity protective cognition. It suggests that one of the main drivers of confirmation bias is not just laziness or closed-mindedness, it's that our brains are trying to protect our social identity. If I believe something because my group believes it, and I encounter evidence that challenges it, my brain treats that evidence as a threat to my place in the group.
Oh, that explains so much. I've had arguments with friends where I wasn't just defending an idea, I was defending my belonging.
Yes, and once you see that, you can start to separate the idea from your identity. The idea can be wrong. You are not wrong as a person because an idea you held turns out to be incorrect. In fact, changing your mind in light of new evidence is one of the most intellectually honest things you can do.
But it's so hard to do in the moment. I feel like even when I know about confirmation bias, I still fall into it.
You will. The goal is not to eliminate confirmation bias. That is probably impossible. Your brain will always have this filter. The goal is to build awareness, to slow down, to notice when your brain is rushing to confirm and to pause.
So The goal is not to be perfect. The goal is to be a little more conscious.
Exactly. And there is research that shows that simply being aware of confirmation bias reduces its effect. A study by researchers at the University of California found that when participants were briefly taught about confirmation bias before a decision-making task, they were significantly more likely to seek out disconfirming information. Just knowing about it helps.
So by listening to this episode, I am already becoming less biased.
You are, and that's not just a nice sentiment. You are now more likely to notice when your brain is filtering. You have a label for it, you have a strategy, and that puts you ahead of most people who have never even heard the term.
Okay, I want to do a quick check-in. I want to apply this to my own life right now. Is there something I'm currently very sure about that I might be biased on?
Good question. Think about something where you have strong emotions attached to your position. Maybe it's about politics, or work, or a relationship. Where do you feel most defensive when someone challenges you?
I think for me, it's about my own habits. I've been telling myself that I'm really good at multitasking. I feel like I get so much done when I'm juggling 3 things at once.
And the research on multitasking is very clear. Your brain is not actually doing multiple things at once. It's switching rapidly between tasks, and each switch comes with a cognitive cost. People who multitask frequently actually perform worse on most tasks.
See, I already feel defensive. I want to say. But for me, it's different. I'm good at it.
That is your confirmation bias speaking. You have a belief, I am good at multitasking, and your brain is actively protecting that belief because it's tied to your sense of competence.
So what do I do? Do I have to give up multitasking?
You could start by testing it. For one day, try monotasking. Do one thing at a time, see how it feels. Notice whether you actually get more done or less. Let the evidence speak rather than your belief.
That feels vulnerable. I might not be as productive as I think I am.
And if that turns out to be true, then you've gained a more accurate picture of yourself. And that is always more useful than a flattering but inaccurate one.
This is really good. I want to keep going with this. How else does confirmation bias show up outside of arguments and beliefs, like in daily life?
It shows up everywhere. In how you choose your news sources, in how you evaluate your own performance at work, in how you remember past events. There is a phenomenon called selective memory. You are more likely to remember details that support your current view of an event and forget details that contradict it.
So when I look back on a past relationship and think it was all good or all bad, that's my confirmation bias reshaping the memory.
Exactly. Your memory is not a recording, it is a reconstruction. And that reconstruction is heavily influenced by your current beliefs and feelings.
So I'm not even an accurate historian of my own life.
You are a narrator. And narrators have a point of view.
That is a much kinder way to say it.
And here is the most important thing I want you to take away from this episode. Confirmation bias is not a character flaw. It is not a mark of stupidity. It is not something to be ashamed of. It is a feature of every human brain. And the people who are most affected by it are often the ones who are most confident they are immune to it.
So the people who say I'm completely objective are probably the most biased of all.
There is a beautiful irony there. The less aware you are of your own biases, the more power they have over you. The more you know about them, the more you can choose to question them.
So the antidote to confirmation bias is not certainty, it's humility.
Yes, intellectual humility. The willingness to say, I might be wrong about this, and if I am, I want to know.
That's hard.
It is hard, and that's why most people don't do it. But you are not most people. You are someone who just spent time learning about how your mind works. That already puts you in a different category.
If you are listening to this and you've made it to this point, I want you to try something today. Think of one belief you hold strongly. Just one. And for the next 24 hours, look for evidence that challenges it. Not to change your mind necessarily, just to see what's there.
And if you feel that resistance, that uncomfortable feeling, that urge to dismiss the evidence, notice it. Just notice it without judgment. That moment of noticing is where growth begins.
That's a beautiful place to end.
Thank you for listening to Mind Decoded. If this episode made you think, share it with someone who might need to hear it. And if you want to go deeper, subscribe and hit the bell. We release a new episode every day. One concept, one conversation, one small insight into how your mind works.
I'm Zach,
I'm Dr. Ann.
and we will see you in the next episode.
Until then, stay curious.